Welcome to Frankly Speaking Hurricanes Football with your host, Frank Masdeu. Welcome to Frankly Speaking Kings Football. Today, we're grateful that you're here and you're spending your time with us. We've got a great show. I've got a special guest. His name is Marcelo, and I'm going to ask him that he go ahead and introduce himself and give you a little bit of a background. And we're going to be talking about Alex Mirabal, the offensive line coach, and he's a Columbus grad, and Marcelo happens to be from the same school, so we're going to ask that he interject his thoughts, and he's a huge Hurricanes fan and follower. So with that being said, Marcelo, welcome. Thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Frankie. Happy to be here. Like Frankie was saying, I am a Columbus grad. Went there from, 98 to 01. And Alex was actually, Coach Mirabal was actually my teacher while I was there, my freshman year. And let me tell you, I think this is nothing but a home run hire for the Hurricanes. Just a quick story about Alex. As you know, or as people may not know, he's a short guy, kind of like myself. But the presence that man has, and the way he commands a room. I mean, he had a class, full of sophomores at an all-boys school, not bat an eye or not flinch. I mean, he had that room like an army barracks. So that's just a little quick story about Coach Mirabal and my experience with him, and a little bit about myself.
Awesome. So he was much like a drill sergeant way back then.
Back then.
Oh, that's amazing. What a great experience. Well, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, and I've got a couple images here that I want to talk to you guys about. First, I want to start with Alex's own comments about our offensive line and some of the issues that he sees and some of the potential, and some, quite honestly, some surprising comments that he had. So let's go ahead and play this. Here we go.
We've seen him primarily at tackle. Is he better suited in your eyes to help your team as a right tackle?
You know what? He's been obviously it's tough for me to tell because we still got Campbell's out, and
we're talking about DJ Scaife, because remember, we've moved him around all across the line, so that kind of got caught off at the beginning. But he's talking about DJ Scaife.
And Rivers is still out. But I'll tell you what, Scaife. I'm glad you brought Scaife up because no one talks about DJ Scaife, and he's a guy who's been awesome since he's been out here. He's got a tremendous skill, and he's a great listener. And I think that's one of the most overlooked abilities that an individual has, but especially as an athlete, especially a football player, where you could tell DJ something in the classroom and immediately he'll put it into action on the field. And to me, that's a gift. That's as important as a vertical. That's as important as your 40 speed. And he really possesses that. So right now he's proving that he can play right tackle at a high level, so, we're going to keep him there for a while. And, once Campbell comes back and Rivers come back, our job is to play the best five guys. How are we going to get the best five guys on the field? So right now he's working his tail off, but he's been, no one ever talks about DJ, because he's quiet and he's unassuming. But to me, I'm like, man, you know what? That dude right there, he's earned his way to the front of the line just because of what he does on the field and what he does in the classroom. And again, I'm very impressed by the fact that you tell him something and he puts it into immediate action on the field. And I truly believe that that's a gift. And I tell them all the time, the greater the player, the lesser amount of reps he needs. I really believe that. And he's kind of like that. So I've been really, really, really pleasantly surprised by him, and love everything he's doing.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah.
What's
Guilty.
Guilty. What's he like personality, and also his coaching style as a coach? What makes him special?
Yeah, he's a teacher.
He's talking about Frank Ponce as the quarterback's coach. And his relationship with Frank Ponce and how far they go back. So let's listen in on what he's got to say.
He's a teacher, so both of us for years we were high school rivals. right? He was at Miami High. I was at Columbus. He played at Miami High. I played at Columbus with Coach Cristobal. We played against Frank. And then we became rivals in high school, where I was always at a rival school to him, whether he was at Central, whether he was at Northwestern, whether he was at Miami High, whether he was at Coral Reef. So we had an adversarial relationship, and then Coach hires me at FIU, Coach hires him at FIU, and they put us next to each other in offices and kind of, hey, figure it out. So, hey, we both kind of figured it out together, and we became brothers through that. So he's one of the brothers in my life that I've chosen, and I'm one of the brothers in his life that he's chosen. So he's very special to me. He's like a brother to me, and because we learned the ropes of college coaching together.
What's his style?
He's a teacher. He's the ultimate teacher. I can tell you this right now. He can go and coach the offensive line, and he can go out and coach the wide receivers, and he can coach defensive line and defensive backs, because he's had to do that at the high school level. He had to do that. When he was the offensive coordinator, the head football coach, and the offensive line coach at Miami High, he was all those things at one time. And you're coaching whatever comes in your doorway. And so he's the ultimate teacher, and so am I. So we kind of kindred spirits that way.
Kind of intense. Is he as intense as you? Is he kind of mellow?
Oh, I think Frank's a little bit more mellow than I am. I'm more on edge kind of guy. But that's just who I am. But he's a great teacher of the game of football. But if you put him, he could teach volleyball. He could teach baseball, softball. He's just a teacher. He's a teacher, and he's a guy that doesn't skip steps. And but I could talk about Frank all day, because that's a brother to me.
What's it like being on a staff where half the guys are from South Florida, especially from Miami?
You know what? It's great, because you have pride from where you come. No matter whether I was at Huntington, West Virginia, or whether it was in Eugene, Oregon, I was always proud to be from the 305. I was always proud. This is always home. It's always been home. It'll always be home to me. So I'm always going to be proud of being from here. And I would say it's the same thing with Steve. I'd say it's the same thing with Coach Cristobal. It's the same thing with Frank. It's the same thing with Kevin Smith. It's awesome. It's awesome when we're on the same staff together, pulling to bring our city what we all want. Because our fans want the same thing we want. They want the same thing.
Well, Marcelo, I wanted to interject here and get your thoughts on this too, because he mentioned the thread that links everybody together and the connections to South Florida, where over 50% of the staff is South Florida product. And these coaches know the coaching and the high schools here in South Florida probably better than most coaches throughout the country. So I wanted to get your input as to what your thoughts are as far as the impact of their experience coming up through the high school ranks in South Florida, being able to go back to those schools and recruit the top talent that right now currently is fleeing out of state. Well, I don't know if I've got a graph, and we'll go over that in the next series that we do, that shows that only 35% of the talent in Florida stays in Florida. The majority of it's been going either to the SEC or the Big Ten, and some of it to the Pac-10 that's been leaving the country. So I wanted to get your thoughts on how you think this staff in particular, as familiar as they are with each other, the South Florida ties, knowing the high schools, knowing the high school coaches, knowing the culture, how do you think that's going to impact our recruiting class in 2023?
I mean, I think you heard it right there. Alex said, speaking about Frank Ponce in particular, he's been at a handful of high schools down here. Some of the powerhouses, Miami High, I believe he had a stop at Coral Gables. He's been here. He's known the local coaches, known the Pop Warner coaches, had kids come up through those systems, and he's coached them personally. And a lot of those same coaches are still the coaches down here. And just knowing that and having those relationships, being able to walk into those homes and just having that familiarity is just going to really give us an edge we haven't had for years, to be honest. And another thing, these guys know the strengths of South Florida. They know the weaknesses of South Florida. They know where to recruit hard, where not to, where to maybe go out of state in some aspects. Let's be honest, South Florida is not the greatest for offensive linemen.
That's true.
But the ones we do get, the ones that do are come from this area, we need to make sure we keep them here. And we know now that if we got to go get someone, we have the horses to go get them. We have the big names to go get them. That, fortunately for us, have that South Florida cachet as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt, because now you've got coaches that are from the SEC, the Pac-10, okay, the Big Ten, all the different conferences, even and so with all those connections and the coaching trees and those roots and how they blend into all those different communities, yeah, you're typically going to get your big offensive linemen, your D linemen in the Midwest, and maybe in Texas and in the Midwest states, and maybe not so much down here, maybe even in Georgia and some of the northern, as you go further, you're going to get your athletes down in the South Florida area, Louisiana. You'll even get some, bigger guys. So it is important. And I think it's amazing. I wanted to ask you also, as far as the culture and as far as Columbus High School is concerned, because now Columbus is in the focal point of everything, because you've got Alex Mirabal, you've got the coach. Okay. He's a Columbus product. So Cristobal. So as far as Columbus, what are some of the thoughts that you can share with us as far as Cristobal and his legacy at Columbus High School and his thoughts among the alumni and his imprint on that high school, because it's massive.
You still feel the presence of when he came through here. They kind of set the blueprint of how to do it and how to do it the Columbus way. Mm-hmm. And, now we've, kind of expounded on that. The facilities are kind of catching up to the talent that we're now getting. And now, it's what they've done, that culture has reverberated, and now it's just something that it's the Columbus way, and he's going to bring that now to as well. And I think he even, built on that, obviously, when he was at and I'm just super excited to have not only him, but the rest of the staff in place. And I think we're ready to play some big time football now.
Well, the encouraging thing is that he got his pedigree at Alabama under Nick Saban. So he got his coaching there. He got head coach at FIU, Alabama, Oregon. He's earned his stripes, and he knows how to do it right from a professional standpoint. But the other caveat is coming from Columbus, and the economic impact that the alumni of Columbus have in the Miami community. Columbus is a force when it comes to the alumni of that school. So the fact that he comes from a local, especially Columbus, means that the financial resources that some of the major people that graduated from Columbus, and those are movers and shakers in the South Florida community, the impact that makes on the University of Miami program is huge. And I think that the buy-in is because those ties, the local ties, his obvious experience and success, all of that comes together, and it puts him in a very favorable position, because now we have the resources, and we've got to be fair. The previous coaches before never got the commitment from the trustees and the board that Mario's gotten, nor the resources. Now he's earned it. Okay. But there's also been a change at the school itself. And maybe we need to put a statue of Kirk Herbstreit up in front of the U, because ever since he had that report talking to the alumni, talking about the fact that the administration lacked the commitment, we changed the AD. We got a new AD who came from Clemson. We got a whole new coaching staff. We got a support staff. We got analysts, and it's going to make a massive impact. So I'm really excited, as I'm sure you are, about what's upcoming. And what I want to do real quick is I'm going to go ahead and share our screen again, and I'm going to go back over here. Let me get over here, and let me play a little bit more of the coach, and then I want to go to DJ Scaife.
That the players want.
After
they
practice.
Want the same thing that my mom wants, right? They want to see the Hurricanes win, because when the Hurricanes win, it's good for college football, and it's great for the city of Miami.
Where does center stand? Is it a competition with Ja'Kai and with Logan? Which of those two is better?
Well,
Logan to guard.
Logan hasn't taken a rep at center. It's the guy, only Ja'Kai and Lawrence Seymour.
Marcelo, I wanted to also take a moment to highlight what he's about to say, which is really powerful. Ja'Kai Clark, when he took the center position last year and he grabbed hold of it, he was awesome. And the name slips my mind now, but the center that we had previous to him went ahead and transferred because Ja'Kai wasn't going to lose that position. I think at center, Ja'Kai Clark could be somebody special. And I think that's what you're going to hear now from Alex. Let me just
You saw it. You
Yeah, we
saw
saw
it,
it.
Frankie. You saw it. As soon as Ja'Kai Clark got inserted last year, the line play improved significantly.
That's true. You're right. You're 100% right. Let me play this a little bit here.
And Ryan Rodriguez, they're the ones who've been taken. And Usman took reps at center today. I think, in my opinion, I think Ja'Kai Clark could be one of the upper echelon centers in the ACC. That's my opinion on it. So, and I think it's my job to keep helping him get better. And he's done a tremendous job of becoming. He's starting to display the leadership that you need when you have your hand on the football. So I'm extremely, extremely happy of where he's at and his growth. And I think he's a heck of a football player. And we're lucky and blessed to have him because it's hard to have that guy. It's hard to find a center. So when you find one who can do what he can do and put all those guys on the same page, I think it's special. And I think he's got the ability to be special.
How about Zion?
Z?
We made his,
Yeah.
Zion, we made his body a little bit. He looks like in better shape.
Yeah, Zion's what a great story, right? I guess he showed up here at 235 pounds, right? Whatever many stars he had, but he became a star, right? And he's quiet. He's quiet, but he's a hard worker. He wants you to push him. He doesn't want you to tell him, hey, good job. He wants you to tell him, hey, how can I get better? So I didn't know his body before. He looks like a Greek god, right? He looks, the way he's built and the way he's put together. So whatever he's done with his body, but I know he's built his body up because he came in at a lighter weight, I believe, from what I'm told. He's got unbelievable feet, right? So to me, as an offensive tackle, yeah, everybody wants guys that are 6'6", 6'7", but do you have feet? Do you have feet? Can you dance? Can you dance out there? Can you recover? Can you get yourself out of trouble? And he can. So he's been blessed with that, and he's got a tremendous work ethic, and he's extremely intelligent kid, and what a great young man he is. So he just keeps rolling. Yes.
How much cross training?
You know what? We do a lot of cross training from January through the start of spring ball. So we cross train everybody. So every drill that we do it from a left hand and a right handed stance, right? And then once spring ball comes, I try not to mess with them too much. So Zion was cross training at right tackle, left tackle, right, during the winter conditioning. Now with spring ball, he's strictly playing on the left side. We'll go back to cross training once spring ball's over through the summer till fall camp. And I really believe that because I owe that to Zion. I owe that to Campbell. I owe that to Skate. Why? Because when you get drafted, you have no idea who's drafting you, right? We had a great player out at Oregon, Sewell, who was a left tackle for 3 years, left tackle. No one was going to beat him out, but we cross-trained him the whole time. And I told him this. I said, listen, Panay, you're not going to get beaten out at left tackle. It's not going to happen, right? He's gifted, right? It's not going to happen. But you don't know who's going to draft you. He gets drafted by the Detroit Lions, where they got an established left tackle who they're paying millions and millions of dollars to. Hey, guess what, Panay? You're going to play right side. Mm-hmm. So we owe it to them for their future, but we also owe it to ourselves. Last year, the program that we were at, we ended up using 22 different offensive line combinations because of injuries, things of that nature. So it provides you with versatility, but at the same time, in the future, it benefits those young men. So that's how you sell it to them. And they buy into it completely, because anything that's going to help them get better in the future, because when you go to that next level, right, that you're only going to take 7, 8 offensive linemen to a game. So you better have position versatility. If you don't have position versatility, they'll cut you and keep somebody who might be a lesser player, but has that versatility. So that's what we're doing. Not doing it much right now because we're into the thing, and I'm trying to let them master something, but we will start up on that again. And it's something that Coach Cristobal and I have always believed in.
So we have 3 different individuals: DJ Scaife, Z at tackle, and Clark at center. And it seems to me that those 3 guys so far, based on the reps that they've taken in spring, are the guys that are going to be the starters. So your guards are the positions that are going to be available, or your right tackle, depending on how you look at it. So what are your thoughts on that, Marcelo?
Well, I think you got to slot Jalen Rivers there on one of the guards.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a beast.
Right.
And I'm excited. I mean, going back to the press conference a little bit, I'm really excited to hear Coach Mirabal talk about Zion, because we knew that was coming. We heard a lot about it that last year, and he did perform well, but he wasn't that shut down, left tackle that we've had in the past with Joaquin Gonzalez or maybe a Brian McKinney. But I think this year he could be in that realm, somewhat. And listening to Coach Mirabal, kind of talk like that is very, very, I'm very positive about that. The other guy I think you got to think is actually out and is probably going to come back and buy for one of those slots is John Campbell.
Mhm.
And I think if you can throw that 5 out there, with the improved coaching, I can't think other that we're going to have some really, really good results in the running game.
So what are your thoughts on Logan, the guy that came out of Oregon, a 324-pound offensive guard, 6'2"? He's supposed to be a bulldozer out there, but he hasn't been in with the ones. He's been in with the twos and I think the 2s and the 3s so far. Because your starting lineup would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would have Z, you'd have Clark, you'd have Rivers, and you would have Campbell at the tackle, I'm assuming, and then you'd have Skaith at the other guard, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And you said, and going back to another thing that Coach Mirabal said, feet. That's what I'm worried about with this Logan.
His feet?
This Logan kid, his feet. He's a big weight room guy, super strong, but does he have the feet? You may not have to worry about that so much if he plays guard,
Right?
But again, you see, a guy like Greg Rousseau, for example. He's a guy that got moved inside a lot, and he created havoc because he was matched up with slow guards, and he got a bunch of sacks lining up from the inside. So you got to be able to move your feet even though you're playing guard.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's a big key. So wouldn't it be ironic that they don't make any changes on the offensive line, and it's not any new faces that we see come to start in the summer? Because I think obviously once the summer comes and they're getting ready for football, right now the competition is happening. If you miss spring, there's a very slim chance that you're going to be able to get into the rotation on any side of the ball at any position, in my opinion. But I also want to ask you about this because it has to do with the offensive line too. Parrish, the kid from Mississippi State, I've been hearing that that back, and again,
from Ole Miss.
Yeah, from Ole Miss. And don't get me wrong, the Rooster's fantastic, but the beating that he took between the tackles, this guy's a more physical type back. Maybe not quite as explosive as the Rooster, but close. Top end, the Rooster's probably faster. But I'm hearing that him and Citizen we may be looking at 2 different backs to start the season. And even though I like Franklin, I'm hearing that Franklin and the other kid, Brown, Cody Brown, may not have enough speed and power for what they're looking to do with that offensive line. Let me have your thoughts on that.
Well, Parrish, first of all, is another Columbus kid. So we love that. We love that. And let me tell you, he came out of the same class with, I believe it was with Rooster and with our other back,
Chaney.
Don Chaney.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, maybe I'm partial to him because he's a Columbus guy, but I thought he was the best out of the 3. Pure running back, balance. He runs with power. That guy does not go down the
Marcelo,
first
well, wait a minute. I may be wrong, but I think he was higher rated than the other 2. I think
in terms of stars, you mean?
Yeah. I think
might have been
as a high school recruit, I think he was slightly above. Chaney was the one that might have been because I think, I'm not sure, but that to your point, all 3 of them were there. All 3 of them were there. And it's ironic all 3 of them are on our team.
I was gonna say it's ironic they're all. I mean, that running back room is loaded. And Rooster is that slider. He has that slider type build, and I was worried the whole season that he was gonna take one of those hits coming up the middle, and we were gonna lose him.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that depth, and 2 to get a go rotation in between Parrish, Rooster, Cheney. You mentioned Franklin.
Mhm.
I mean, those four right there. I mean, that's a nice four-headed running attack right there. And then you still have Cody Brown,
Mhm.
and I think there's still another running back.
There is. I can't remember his
Forgetting
name,
his
but
name.
I think.
Oh,
Frank-
you mentioned Citizen, the freshman.
yes,
which
yeah.
I mean, he looks, he looks like he might be ready to play this year. But
Exactly.
you don't want to burn that want to burn that that season necessarily. But point is, the depth is there. The depth is there, and now you can give Rooster maybe those outside runs and have Cheney and maybe Parrish more for those inside type runs.
Oh, I agree. And I think you're going to have to work Citizen into the lineup because, like you said, we were down two backs. We were down. The Rooster was out for 4 games. Cheney went out with an injury, and Harris was banged up. And by the way, at the end of the season, the Rooster was banged up so bad that even in the spring, he was redshirted through most of the spring. Okay, no contact. So you're still looking at a situation now where you've got to, you've got to have that depth. And I think you're going to build that with Citizen, Parrish, and with the Rooster. And hopefully, Lord willing, Cheney comes back, because Cheney could be the most talented back of all if it weren't for his health issues. If we can keep him healthy, because Cheney can take it the distance at any point. He can run you over, run around you, and break through you because of his speed. But he's got to stay healthy and stay on the field. Now I want to extend out a little bit, and I want to get your thoughts on the tight ends, okay? Because this is part of the O-line. By the way, an interesting thing. I don't believe we did it under the previous administration, but they're taking the tight ends and they're working them with the offensive line. They instead of working them separately, they're working them together for the communication. So you've got Skinner and you've got
Arroyo
and
Mallory.
But Mallory's out hurt, but they expect him back for the beginning of the season. Your thoughts? I'm beginning to believe that with Arroyo, okay, and Skinner, I think Skinner's ready to play. I know it sounds crazy, but he's coming in at like 235, and I think Skinner could be ready to play. I know that Arroyo's ready, and Mallory's got some health issues, but hopefully they'll get ready. But if those two young kids get on the field, I think Mallory's going to be hard pressed to get a lot of snaps. It's going to be an interesting. Now they may put double tight end and a fullback. I don't know, and run one of the tight ends as a fullback, because I know they're going to try and use some of that power game that they're going to, where they're going to use multiple sets. But anyway, I wanted to get your thoughts on those three and how the tight end group looks to you, and how do you think they're going to use them, and who do you think is going to emerge this season with the most catches? Will it be Arroyo or will it be Mallory? Or Skinner?
I think it's going to end up being Matt. I think that we're going to, first of all, I think we're going to go run a lot of 2 tight end sets,
right,
which I think is going to give a lot of college defenses a ton of trouble, because they're not used to guarding, a second tight end, or worrying about a second tight end with any talent anyway. And we have 3 super talented tight ends. Mallory's not so much the great blocker,
right,
but I think Arroyo's that complete package. So I think you're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets with most probably Mallory and Arroyo. And I think at the end of the season, Arroyo's probably going to finish with more catches.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. Now, interesting thing too, I'm going to go to the wideouts just for because what we've been seeing from spring camp. Frank Ladson that came in from Clemson, was automatically assumed to be a starter at one end. What I'm hearing is that Jacoby George is going to get that job along with Smith at the other. And now you're going to go to your slot. In your slot, I'm hearing that the X-Man is separated himself by leaps and bounds. So you're going to have probably the X-Man, Jacoby George, and Smith. And you're going to have the 4th receiver will be Ladson, who's the 6'3" guy. What are your thoughts on that? And share with me what you think.
I would have liked Frank Ladson to really come in and take that number 1 wide receiver position. But I as well have been hearing the same things, reading the same things, that it looks like more like Jacoby George is going to be that guy, which I'm not surprised. But, him being the younger guy, I would have preferred it to be maybe Frank to come in and take that position. But, regardless, we need somebody to step up and do it. So I heard a lot of good things coming from coming out of these first few practices out of regarding Jacoby George and his contested catches, and Tyler Van Dyke having a lot of confidence in him. And you know how it is. If a quarterback has a confidence in their wide receiver, you saw it with Rambo last year. They had a tremendous connection, and Rambo made money. He made money. He made himself, he boosted. I don't think he had a draft stock, until he came in and had the year that he had with UM.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I've said, I preferred it. I would have preferred maybe to be Frank, being a little bit older, more experienced. But regardless, we need someone to step up. And if it's Jacoby George or even Romello Brinson, we need someone to do it.
Well, we also got the other kid, Smith. We got two Smiths. We got number 5 and the other kid, Smith, who's probably the fastest player on the team that'll be coming in. But if you're going to go to that double tight end, you're not going to be in four wide receivers. That's as often, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting. So it's going to spread it out. Now, getting back to the quarterback situation, and that's where we'll tie this up, is obviously you and I are in agreement with Tyler Van Dyke having a great year. And I think for Tyler, in my personal opinion, is it's going to be one and done. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. I think that our expectation has to be to get to the ACC championship, which means you've got to win the Coastal. And I think that it's extremely possible for us to win the championship, even if it's against Clemson. And who knows, Pittsburgh may emerge. I don't know if they've got anything left because their superstar quarterback went into the NFL. But it'll be interesting because they have defensive issues. I look at it this way. A lot of this is going to be predicated on our defense, because we were one of the worst tackling teams in college football last year. And if they can clean that up, and North Carolina, as we look forward, and let's see, we have North Carolina, NC State could challenge, and could challenge Clemson and Florida State on the other side. And then we've got North Carolina that would be a challenge for us on this side. And actually, I think it would be North Carolina State would be the biggest. I'm sorry, North Carolina would be the biggest challenge in our division, I think, going forward. Maybe Virginia, and I'm not sure where they're going to be. Virginia Tech always plays us tough. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. But as far as the quarterback situation, I think Van Dyke is gone after a year. Jeff Garcia slips right in, takes a position. But then you've got Ja'Cory Brown, who's phenomenal. I don't know if you've seen him in the spring practices, but he's bigger than Van Dyke, thicker. And now he doesn't have the accuracy, but he's got the cannon for an arm, and they have to work on the accuracy. But he's more athletic, but he looks like to be a tremendous prospect going forward. But my understanding is in this 2023 class, they're recruiting a 5-star quarterback who apparently is one of the best quarterbacks. He's a junior going into senior year. So I guess it would be, yeah. And this kid has a lot of interest in Miami. If he comes, that quarterback room is stacked, because because I don't think Garcia will make it a year. I think Garcia will do 1 year with us also. I think you'll have TVD, one and done, Garcia, one and done. And so you've got to have Ja'Cory Brown and whoever's going to challenge him ready to step up. So
yeah, I think the guy's name is, I believe is Jaden Rashanda.
Yeah.
He's a kid from Pittsburgh, California. I believe.
Yeah.
And he's actually, I think, playing with the 7-on-7 team, the Immortals, which is a bunch of South Florida kids. They actually have a recent commit, Robbie Washington.
Yeah, from Heritage.
From Killian.
Oh no, Killian. That's right, Killian.
From Killian, and actually, that team is actually funded by the Columbus guy, John Ruiz.
Oh wow!
So this is all the South Florida connection, the pipeline to UM, and it's signaling a change. Yeah, and I'm really excited. I saw a little bit of tape on that kid, big kid, a little bit skinnier than Ja'Cory Brown. But big kid, big arm. And if we get him on board, I think that'll really help with some of the 5-star wide receivers that are out there. Maybe lure Brandon Innes back from USC.
Well, I think that's fantastic. So to wrap it up, but before we do, I want everybody to hit the like button, share, subscribe to our channel. please put your comments down at the bottom. We always try to get back to you on the comment section. And I want to go ahead and thank my buddy Marcelo so much for coming on the channel. Marcelo, I'll leave you with final thoughts, and we will definitely do this again as we move forward. And thank you so much for taking your time, and come to us with breaking news from Columbus, anything you hear, and we'll work together going forward. And thank you so much for being a part of our channel and being on with us today. I really want that. But your parting thoughts, what are your final thoughts for what you see happening in the spring game and then going to summer to begin the season? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm looking forward to a competitive spring game. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the new kids coming up. You mentioned Skinner. So I'm very excited to see the O-line play. You know, super positive. I'm on the outlook of this season. You said you discussed a little bit about expectations and ACC championship, and I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I think that's got to be the goal. Nothing short. And I'm just excited. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a heck of a season. I think with a couple more years with recruiting, and we might get back to that real swagger days, and I look forward to it. Thank you for allowing me the time and inviting me on the channel. I look forward to doing it again, and I'll keep my ear to the ground, especially in regards to Columbus, and bring you any new and upcoming news.
Fantastic. Well, go you. All right, Marcelo, God bless you, my friend, and thank you so much. And we'll talk later. You have a wonderful day. Thanks, my friend.
You too, Frankie. Talk to you soon, buddy.
All righty, my friend. Bye-bye.